All right. Well, the temptation was too great. I once said, and I maintain, that my coverage extends primarily to tokens worth your time. However, I have another branch of this, which are attempts to try to keep people safe where I can. And I do so by calling out, and if you notice off to the right, I am a certified cryptocurrency auditor. However, my audits extend to market ready, outside the crypto bubble, strong fundamentals. I look for things that are generally appealing, but also are traditionally safe, well thought out, well planned. I'm looking for key critical issues in what they do. And I saw a video the other day and I was very entertained by it simply because I conceptually agree with everything said there. But it encouraged me to think about, I don't know that this is around beliefs. He did a coverage around cult DAO. And I purposely avoided cult DAO because it was getting too much hype on social media. As I've said, my mantra is if it gets too much hype on social media, I am less likely to do any coverage on it. However, piggybacking off what Believes had called out, the summary of his is that it doesn't really do anything. It doesn't really have a true use case in the traditional sense, and he's absolutely correct in this. I don't disagree with anything what he said, but it got me thinking. It might be that people don't fully understand the risk, at least the perception of risk around the way that this thing is positioned and why the risk is higher because of the way it's designed, because that was not something he was inclined to dig into. It was clear and obvious in his body language and messaging. He was not inclined to go any deeper than the surface of, okay, it doesn't really do anything. I figured, because it's something I have an aptitude for myself, that I would kind of piggyback and do that little piece of this deep level evaluation, because this project, it's obvious that the people in the project, for them, they're trying to base it around the idea of community. So in their minds, and again, mind you, crypto bubble, in their minds, it makes perfect sense if you are part of a community that you would support something like this because it is supportive of the community. However, there are a couple of fundamental things that stood out as poorly thought out, that they're so much in the bubble that they don't realize the perception that they're putting out to people outside of said bubble. And because they were so focused on the people already in the bubble, how they look is even beyond a cult. Like, I understand the name, it's marketing, but I don't know that they reconcile just how scattered, illogical, possibly childish that their presentation comes across to anybody outside of it. And the down part of this is that the idea might have been solid if it was done correctly. So my thought was, let me go through and break that down, because that's a little bit more interesting. I'm not trying to just trash them straight out, but I do have to kind of call them out on some of the silliness that they're doing here. And it's clear to me, number one, these are people who are likely gamers. I say this because of the way it's structured is very akin to like some role-playing game, like a Skyrim type game, in the way that they tried to build this out. And they had this vision, and the vision actually might have worked more effectively if you had people behind this thing that had any business sense outside the crypto bubble. This might actually have been an intriguing project that would have created a use case. Anybody who then naysays any coverage is coming at it from that bubble mentality. And what I need to challenge any of those said people who happen to listen to this, you need to switch your mind into outside the crypto bubble. The layman person who comes to the internet or may not even use the internet, who fires up Google because they don't understand that Google's crap, who types in a search engine because they were told by a friend that they should get into cryptocurrency, and they want to get into cryptocurrencies that feel like they're a worthwhile investment for the short and the long term, or that make a difference in people's lives. And if they happen to stumble across your service, what is going to be their impression? This, ladies and gentlemen, is where I think you fall short. So I am, if you want to follow along, cultdao.io, I am targeting their FAQ right now. I had to fight past their website because it's absolute crap. But I got to this FAQ, and I'm targeting the FAQ because the FAQ is so self-deprecating in a way that it was a perfect target. So now, when you want to, okay, again, outside the bubble, if I needed to get, venture capital funds, angel funding, right? I'm a business. I need to get funding. I need to explain to somebody what it is, why I need this money, and what's the purpose and what's the project and what am I going to be doing? So question number one, quote, what is Cult? Cult is the tradable and liquid token of Cult DAO. Transacting Cult will contribute to the protocol by filling the DAO treasury slowly to fund investments into decentralized technologies. That's not explaining what it is. It's the wrong answer to the question. The answer to this question should be, this is a cryptocurrency on the X chain, which I believe is currently Ethereum. So Ethereum blockchain that is made available to investors. That's what it is, right? That's the what of it. Later, you say, how is it used? Then we transact, The point is, you still haven't explained to people what this is. And this tells me it's crypto bubble, because the fact that you didn't call out tradable and liquid token doesn't mean anything. When you're outside the crypto bubble, it doesn't mean a damn thing. You need to tell people that it is a token. It's on the Ethereum blockchain. It is available for purchase and sell, and that's what it is. It's a general cryptocurrency subject to whatever rules and regulations that are attributable to securities, because you call it yourself as liquid, quote unquote, which is closer to fiat. Thus, you need to call it out, and you don't. Quote, what is decult? Decult's just the proof of stake token for cult. This is crypto bubble. This doesn't make any sense, because number one, you're talking about this what is of a token that's nowhere on any of the rest of your site. And you're presenting it under the notion that somebody's already in the project. Your FAQ should not assume somebody's already in it. Your FAQ should help the layman investor outside the bubble. Your outside the bubble has no, almost cussed, frickin' idea what you're saying here. What you should say is, when I go to the how does this work, you're talking about staking. You didn't mention that in the what is. That's why you should have a slice that says, what does it do? How does it work? Okay, it's for staking. What is staking? Staking is When you stake, you are given decult. Like, your answers don't answer the question. They answer crypto bubble people. They don't answer it the way somebody else would understand. So just in your 1 and 2, I guarantee you, anybody who stumbles on your site is going to click off and go back to Bitcoin, because you're not helping people understand outside the bubble. I'm going to skip some of these or this next one, because it's garbage, because it's not really true. This one, whoever wrote this should be slapped. Quote, what is the idea behind cult and how did it begin? I'm going to skip this first paragraph because it's whatever. Quote, cult began when Vasco da Gama sailed around the Cape of Good Hope and discovered the route to India. Cult began in 1526. The first transatlantic slave voyage anchored in Brazil. Cult began and is born of oppression, of meaningless life, the slavery and chains which bind you and every single one of us. If you read this and believe that you're free, you're more chained than us. True freedom comes from the realization and acceptance that you exist as a function and cog in a central bank's ideal economic function. A central bank. You did not answer the question. You derailed on an illogical, irrational, and in some cases inaccurate rant that has nothing to do with the question being asked. The question asked is, what is the idea behind cult? Your answer should be something along the vein of, we as individual investors see that there are these exploitative strategies happening around banking, around cryptocurrency, and we had the idea to try to do it better, and we created this vision that will allow people, regular investors like you, to come in and share in what we're doing, which is, and then you go down, The point is, telling this bullshit narrative, I'm sorry, it's what it is, narrative of Vasco da Gama discovered the route around India, saying cult began in 1526. No, it didn't. Your cult began in 2022. That's when the token began. You talking this narrative is crypto bubble. And then you go into a rant about Barack Obama. Listen, I don't care what your alignment is or your lean is or your bias is or your theories are. I don't care. You're not answering the question. In what I see of how you're writing this, in your mind, you're so passionate about whatever the heck it is. You're not thinking about how you come across. It reminds me a little bit of, Jim Cornette and how he calls out AEW. In the AEW world, the people that love AEW, they love the flipping gymnastics. They love the finishers don't matter. They love the super kick all over the place. They love the dive every match and tables every single match. And people kick out at 2 after all the time. And the ref watches people cheat and nobody cares. In their minds, in that bubble, in that world, that's normal to them, even though it doesn't make sense to people who are watching wrestling when it was perceived as a sport, even if we knew it wasn't really, quote, real. That's bubble. That's crypto bubble. That's what this garbage is. You're presenting it as if people are bought in already and they support, yeah, I'm pissed at the central bank, deep, deep, or yeah, I support Barack Obama, deep, deep. That's not how. If you want to be taken seriously, this is not the way you do it. That's the problem. So then, how can I get involved in cult? Now, this, I can tell you right now, these are young people because they didn't answer the question. It says, how can I, again, outside the crypto bubble, if I'm just a regular Joe or Jane doing a search engine search, trying to find out, okay, I heard about it. How do I get involved? What you don't do is go into this garbage that says, quote, you're not your job. You're not how much money you got in the bank. You're not the car you drive. You're not the contents of your wallet. You're not your fucking khakis. That's a quote. You're all the singing, dancing crap of the world. You're not, number one, you're not answering the question. Number two, you're insulting people. Number three, you're turning them off. And number four, you're probably confusing other people. This is bubble. First rule of quote, the first rule of cult is you talk about cult. We're all oppressed in this. Don't take away that some are much more oppressed than others. Right? And rise up, we argue between ourselves about who's oppressed. You can't stand up for this. Why? Because of that. You're talking from a position of privilege? Who are you to speak for X? Did any of what I just say answer the question? How do I get involved in cult? I'll even give this to you for free. How do I get involved in cult? Step one, you need a cryptocurrency wallet. Here's a couple ones you can choose from. Step two, learn a little bit about Uniswap and how it works. That's how you buy the token. Here's how you go there and purchase the token. Step three, add the contract address to your wallet. When you do the purchase, the Uniswap's going to ask you for that contract address. Paste it in there. You talk them through to answer the question, how do I get involved in cult? Then you can call out. Once you're in the ecosystem and you're bought in, then you do XYZ to participate and join our community and learn a little bit more about what we're doing. Not this nonsense here, bro. I get it. Your marketing is around a cult. You still have to sound like you know what the heck you're talking about. Next, quote, what measures are in place to ensure my crypto is protected? First of all, you didn't explain how they're going to get the crypto, so it's already protected because they can't get into it because you didn't tell them how to get it. However, quote, our contracts and token are and is fully audited. Okay, your token is a contract of itself. So it's a redundant word. That's just a semantic. Point is, quote, liquidity is locked. As we've learned from many projects, that's moot. The keys burnt. You're outside the bubble. Nobody knows what that means. And you're coming across like, unfortunately, the car salesman on Seifu. We burned the keys. We can't do it. Trust us. That's what that says. Number one, they don't know what that means. And number two, nobody trusts you and nobody believes you, nor should they. The contract's non-upgradable. Okay. Is it renounced? I'm not even going to look because it's Uniswap, but is it renounced? How are you enforcing this? You don't answer that. You didn't answer the question. So people's crypto is not protected because you didn't answer how it is. So then it goes into the, what is this? How is this? Who are the guardians? The guardians are the top 50 token holders. They're tasked with safeguarding which proposals are sent to the many to be voted upon. None of these terms are defined. None of them. So nobody knows what the heck they're talking about. Where does the money, quote, where does the money invested come from? How does cult staking work? Here, they go to the step-by-step and then they inject garbage. Quote, Fight against centralization. Further the cause of decentralization. Directly benefit a noble cause. Listen, if you're in this and you like what you saw and it all works for you, that's fine. I'm not telling anybody not to do or don't. I'm telling you, you come across ignorant with garbage like this, trying to entice new money into what you're doing. If all you care about is the 3 to 4% of the world who's in cryptocurrency, I don't even know that you convince them that it makes any sense. What you've done here is you've taken people who already just jump into whatever, or you've somehow influenced them to believe that it's whatever, and you've thrown a bunch of garbage at them and made it sound good to where they're going to stick around for a while. There's nothing here that is fundamentally sound. And I'm talking all the way from your front end website that's crap down to the basis of your quote FAQ that doesn't really answer the frequently asked questions that it's supposed to, down to no identification of names, no LinkedIn to know what your credibility is, no fundamental basis on any of this garbage. You know what pisses me off more on this? Something like this, garbage like this, the scans, right? The BSC scan, the Ether scan, all the different scans, they'll gladly take something like this and allow them to update their profiles, add a logo, do all that garbage, but they won't take other ones that are just simpler, basic code. They don't need to, they tell you straight up, we're not here to change the world. We're just a basic coin for some business. They'll reject those because, well, we don't see that you have a telescanner. We don't see you have this, and we don't see you have a real, what's your da-da-da. They'll approve those. So I'll see Etherscan will approve garbage like this, even though it doesn't really do anything, even though it doesn't have a strong use case at all, even though their site is crap, they'll approve it simply because it looks cool. That's what pisses me off, because it gives the impression to the outside world that it's something when it's nothing. Summary thoughts. Once again, if you're in it, go ahead. If you want to be in it, go ahead. If you support what they're doing, go ahead. It's not about, because I know that this is a persistent response from the diehards here. You need to read the manifesto. Did you read the manifesto? Did you read the manifesto? Did you read the manifesto? Your manifesto is garbage. And I'm not even talking about the way it's written or the way it looks or any of that crap. That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is that fundamentally, you took a copy of the garbage website and slapped it into a PDF, published it as a document that you refer to as a quote manifesto. I would refer you to the Unabomber's manifesto if you want to see what a manifesto is supposed to look like. That's a manifesto. This is not a manifesto. This is a generic FAQ document with a bunch of garbage that means nothing in the front of it. Literally the first 5 pages are garbage. They're just garbage rants about a thing with, I can tell somebody who was inspired by said Unabomber, Ted Kaczynski. They were inspired by it, but they certainly don't have his skill or eloquence in writing. And then you have one page that simply has a very poorly written, poorly designed. It's a generic flowchart that tries to design how this works. And it's not doing a very good job, because at the end of the day, you did a poor job of helping introduce people into what it is. And no, it is not acceptable to say, well, we do Twitter Spaces deep, deep, deep. No, it's not acceptable to say, we'll telescam deep, deep, deep. No, it's not acceptable to say, we got Discord deep, deep, deep. The answer is your website needs to be a source of your information and needs to be clear and outlined very clearly to everybody who visits, including those outside the crypto bubble, because if you don't do that, you are already losing those people. There are very many people who don't use social media, and I don't know what it's going to take to get that across to people. You need to have your website as a business website. And I put this to one of the members and he debunked it. If you want to understand how a business crypto website should look like, I would steer you to everrise.com. That's what yours should look like, not like something written by some 18-year-old who had a binge. You need to present yourself like a business if you want to be taken seriously. Now, if you don't want to be taken seriously, that's fine. Then I question pages 2 through 5 of this garbage quote manifesto, because you present it as though you want to be taken seriously, yet you're not willing to do what's necessary to be taken seriously. I say you don't want to be taken seriously and you want to treat it all like a game. Great. Present that and present that on your site to tell people the truth, which is, no, we're not taking this seriously. This is all fun and games for us. If you want to be taken seriously, I'm telling you, your website fails on this. Your quote manifesto fails on this. And regardless of all good intentions, because we know about the road to hell, nothing in your presentation speaks to people outside the crypto bubble. If you don't care about them, say that. We don't care about you unless you're already in cryptocurrency and you've already been screwed over, and we want to welcome you here to possibly get screwed over again. At least then you're honest. That's all. The problem is presentation. Your project, quote unquote, is not market ready. It's not ready for any growth. It's not ready for sustainability. It's not ready for long term. I'm not going to call you a scam because I don't know any of you dudes or ladies or whatever. I'm telling you that what I see and the way you wrote just your FAQ alone and this garbage quote manifesto tells me that you're a bunch of kids who don't understand how to present yourself like a business, and projects like yours are going to fail in the long run, especially as we come out of the bear period, because you launched in the bear period during a time when there have been so many scams as it is of projects that were way higher quality than this crap. So I say that if any of you guys that are behind this, or ladies behind this, want that smoke and you want to come chat with me about it, I'm all about it. If you want to understand my style, we have HODL Token very recently that I chatted with. And I think it's pretty, and ETHJets, and I think it's pretty clear. I'm going to ask questions you've never been asked before. And it may even help you if you can somehow get past my questions and allay some of the concerns. At worst, you need to fix your website, because right now it's garbage. I was writing better websites when I was 16 years old, when we had less web technologies. That tells me I don't think you guys are going to be around for the long term. I don't think you guys are going to be around for the long haul at all. I'm not calling you a scam. I'm saying I don't think you're going to be around because way more credible projects than you crapped. So it doesn't give bode, and I would never recommend your project to anybody who listens to my show.